I think Sam is going to be insufferable about this show.
Oh, of course.
Because it really does just tick all the boxes. But then I turned out to be the most insufferable about this show. It's like pondering my orb, pondering the orb, that meme. It's like, that was me with this show.
Well, hello, and welcome back to Gateway to Anime. How are you all? What's going on? We are the podcast where we throw open the gates to anime, where we bring you all the best new anime, as well as deep dive into the classics. Ever wanted to get into anime but didn't know where to start? We are the podcast for you. I am your host, Sam. Charlie, how you going?
Good. I'm excited to talk about all the new anime that we've been watching this season. It's actually a lot to talk about.
Absolutely. Graham, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, good. Again, good. Still good. Continuing to be good.
That's good. Better than being bad. We are doing our mid-season check-in of the fall anime season, and my God, let me tell you, what a season. It's the midpoint of the season so far. So we're doing the thing that we always do, where we just check in with y'all and tell you what we like, what we don't like, especially when we go back over our hype up, where we sort of talk about the things that might be good. Now we have to tell you whether they are or not, or at least what we think they are or not. And please let us know what you're watching in the comments. Always love to chat to you all in there. Always good to talk about anime. It's what we do. So, who wants to start off? It's a hell of a season we got going.
Well, I mean, I guess we may as well just open the floor up to Dandadan because we're all going to talk about it anyway.
Here we go.
And I've got a lot of feelings about Dandadan. So it is an interesting one because obviously the most hyped up of the season coming in was this show. And yeah, it's just been a hit. People are frothing.
Yep.
People love it. It's an amazing adaptation by all accounts. Animated brilliantly, fantastic characters. I love the world. I love everything about it. I love most things about it. There's some stuff that I find a little bit icky about Dandadan, and I have a hard time recommending it as a gateway anime to a lot of people because obviously there's just a lot of like fan servicey sexualized imagery, which is actually in like direct kind of contrast to the messaging of the show. So I'm kind of like, that's why I don't hate it entirely. I feel like there is actually like some level of like feminism actually presented in Dandadan, and like the main character, Momo, is like the best. One of my favorite characters I've seen in a long time, particularly for a shonen protagonist. She's so great. So it's like, we've got an amazing relationship. We've got so many interesting things happening, so many cool characters. So first episode, massive content warning. If you have not watched it, please check content warning, trigger warnings about that. There is just a scene in particular that is like pretty full on and a bit of a fan servicey animation attached to that too. And some things that are like played for laughs that maybe some people wouldn't appreciate. I mean, I think that like the overall tone of it, I personally didn't find it upset me to watch it. I love it so far. I think that it gets better with every episode too. It's really great. The animation.
Oh, Science Saru, just bringing the thunder. Absolutely looks at the colors. The coloring is just outstanding. The action animation, I mean, you can probably talk more to it than that. As far as, obviously, you're a manga fan, Graham, of the show.
Yeah.
As far as an adaptation is concerned, how is it to you?
We're only, how many episodes? 4 episodes, and I guess by the time we release this, like, I think they've nailed it. Like, I think they've nailed it. Bit of a challenge because you're trying to represent that sort of old-worldy spiritualism, then you've got the UFO sort of stuff and kind of clashing with this bright color palette and real sharp animation. But I think they've nailed it. Like just the look and feel of the world, which is only going to get bigger and weirder. And the manga itself is in the seinen category, but it's kind of been, the way it's been marketed is in the shonen sort of world. But like, you go and buy that manga, that's in the adult section in plastic. So I don't know if that was kind of like, wasn't kind of relayed to people in the marketing of it, but it is like adult themes. And
Yeah.
but this is an adaptation. I think it's great.
I mean, Science Saru most famous probably for doing Devilman Crybaby, right?
Yeah.
Which is like probably the least
Gateway
appropriate show to ever recommend anyone. But yeah, the way that they animate things and the style, it fits perfectly from what I can kind of tell. Music is great throughout it, like not even the opening, which we'll talk about, but like even just like throughout. The voice acting smashes it. Like it's all, it's the voice of the Turbo Granny is Luffy.
Luffy.
Yeah, I saw that the other day.
That's so great. Like there's so many kind of amazing people involved in it, and the grandma's really hot. See, I'm fine with that fan service.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, she's an old lady. She knows what's up. She's fine with that. It's all good. She's like, it's hard when it's like sexualizing someone in a school uniform. It's like, I can't get on board with that.
Good, no. There's an element of edginess to it. Some comment I read on Reddit, someone was like, oh, right, so it's just edgy Mob Psycho 100. And I was like, well, no. But I can see sort of how people can get into that mindset. It's not bad.
Yeah.
Super like fully coolly though. Like that's the off the wall like that kind of it's really it's actually giving a throwback energy, I would say.
Yeah, it is actually,
in a way. But like it is still really unique. Like it's kind of harking back, but I think it's really quite different from Mob Psycho.
Oh, it definitely is.
Yeah. I see what they're saying.
I get where they're coming from. Yeah, there's an element to it.
It's the humor. It's the action meets the humor meets
yes,
the like
yes.
and the
I was reading up like the author had submitted a lot of sort of stories to Shonen, and they weren't getting anywhere, and he had like massive writer's block, so they put him on the sort of plus side of things because that's like where you can take your time in writing stories and stuff. And anything in Dandadan was just him like just drawing weird characters and then trying to link a story together. So I guess it's kind of like freeform manga storytelling.
Interesting.
He's not really sure where things are going or who's going to fit this in and what's this weird character going to be and how it's going to play with the story. So I'm just happy that people are enjoying it. And
it's killing it.
Yeah, I think to me also like some of the best romance I've seen in anime for a while. Like I fully am watching this expecting it to unfold as like a proper romantic storyline between these two characters.
It's very cute.
And they're
it gets
the best.
very cute. Like they're the greatest.
Yeah, it's such a great dynamic. And also, like, I just love, because, you know, you're watching it and you expect when they first meet, the first episode this is, you know, you expect that he's going to be so flustered that she's even talking to him. And it's sort of set up to be that. And then it flashes to him just being like, blah, 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 you know, and it's like, what the fuck? And it's kind of the opposite. And it's like so great because I was expecting it to be like, you know, we've got a confident, like cool girl and then like a nerdy guy who gets like a nosebleed, but actually just like not even that at all. Like he's
like, look at my magazine, my alien magazine. Like,
and he really just respects her and chats to her and they just get along really great despite being opposites. It's actually awesome. It's like one of the best dynamics I've seen between two characters.
They're just like constantly screaming at each other for no reason as well. Like
and it works so well. Like, yeah, I love them both as main characters so much. Is she the protagonist? In my head, she's a protagonist.
I think she's
she sort of seems to be,
yeah.
It's bloody great. So that's obviously firing on all cylinders. Great show. It's weird because, like, you're right. It's hard to recommend to people.
I wouldn't be the first thing I recommend to people.
You would?
No.
No.
God, no.
No. That's the thing. But for us anime folk with a few blinkers on, we're all in.
Yeah.
We're all in us with the blinkers.
I think it's saying enough to me and doing enough within a genre that I can, but then again, this is anime blinkers. You know, like there's like, but I'm saying like it's doing enough in a genre. I think that there's like so many like I think there is like a real feminist through line through this story, which is not what you would expect if you saw even just an image from it. You'd be like, what? Like, but it's, I don't know. I could eat my words, but I feel like it's a problematic fave and we love it. But it's not like, it's like these little bits. Yeah. Anime blinkers, goddamn. Yeah,
they exist and sometimes they're useful. But
Also, if you go on YouTube and you look up Dandadan Easter egg, animation Easter eggs, there's like all these little bits and pieces you can see, like little props from here and little call outs to this as well. Like,
okay, cool.
Like more than you would think.
I've laughed out loud heaps watching it as well. It's genuinely funny.
Yeah.
All right, so the other big hitter of the season.
Ranma half.
We'll get to that. Literally before we started this podcast, Charlie just goes like, so both of you haven't watched Ranma half either because you're both idiots. And we're like, all right, that's how we're starting this. But
violence. Yeah.
It's true. And I back myself on this. Anyway, Sam, what's this heavy hitter that you speak of?
Well, it's a little show called ReZero, Charlie.
Oh, yeah. That's
and it is bloody brilliant, as it always is. It's firing on all cylinders. The first episode's a 90-minute special. 90 minutes? Like, it is a whole
movie.
Yeah, it's a full movie-length episode premiere. And it's interesting because, like, without spoiling anything for those of you who haven't watched it, the first, 80 minutes, very slow. Very slow. Very
first
like
80 minutes out of 90 minutes.
It's very slow. It's all character. It's all sort of
terrible review.
Well, no, it's just all character based.
That's awful.
No. But it's interesting
if
because
you stick around for the whole 80 minutes,
Well,
10 minutes.
If you're in season 3, you know what's going on. You know where you're at.
And if you don't, watch the recap.
Watch the recap on YouTube. Thank you very much. No, it's a sort of a slow pace, like. I saw a few comments, people being like, I thought this was a slice of life show for a minute here. It was great. Got to really slow itself down.
Okay.
Reintroduce a bunch of characters, introduce some new relationship dynamics, introduce some new characters who are like, who are these people? What's going on? And then the last 10 minutes hit and it is
pure chaos.
Well, it's horrifying.
Oh, okay.
It's like that classic ReZero, like bunny rabbit style.
Oh, the wolf coming out of the
just
manor and everyone freezes and dies.
Just horrendous. Like one of the most disturbing bits of anime and I've ever seen. It was like that last 10 minutes. I was like, it finished. And I turned it off. I was like, oh Jesus! And that's what ReZero does to you. You know what I mean? The suffering and how it just like sleepwalks you into like. Well, that was one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen. Next, like it's bloody great. And now the last few episodes have really started to ramp it up. They've started to introduce all of the pieces on the chessboard, so to speak. I think this season is going to absolutely pop off. At least, like I say, all the players are now on the board. So yeah, ReZero White Fox doing it absolute justice. It's fantastic. In the second episode, one of the gnarliest deaths he's ever had. It's just like, oh God. And that's ReZero doing what ReZero does. You know what I mean? Takes you from 0 to 100 real fast.
ReZero.
ReZero doing what it's always done.
ReZero to 100.
ReZero to 100. And yeah, go watch the recap if you want to hear my thoughts on ReZero. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. Loving it. I can't wait for you to catch up, Gray, because I know.
That 90 minutes.
90 minutes. I had to watch it because I came home quite inebriated. And I was like, good, the ReZero episode. And then like, I was so inebriated that I fell asleep and then like woke up and I was like, what the 90 minutes? Oh my God. Anyway, then when I actually got the time to watch it, was it?
I was going to say, was it actually 90 minutes or did you just fall asleep for a large portion and you paused it and you were like, oh.
Oh no, it's 90
just 20 minutes.
I think I was just confused when I went to like actually play it because I was like, have I missed the movie at some point? And then no, I will watch it. I just have to have a spare 90 minutes.
That's not fun. There's 3 other episods you could have watched from something else.
If I get to like 20 minutes of Bleach, I'm like, oh my God.
Well, let's jump into that.
I got to pay my taxes.
How are you enjoying the new Bleach?
Man, it just continues. Like the quality just continues. The action is fantastic. Like I think the weakest part of it is probably like the theme music this year. I'm just like,
whereas the last one was great. Stars, that was a banger.
I don't know what else to say. Like we haven't said for the last 4 years at this point. Like
Bleach is, the dream of the old shonen getting the resurrection with the modern day animation and the care and the dedication given to it. So it's not Berserk 2016. It's like actually something incredible.
And just adding little bits of story here and little tightening the bolts here and just making the original actually work, like the original manga work better. Like,
and Tai Kubo's been part of the production team as well.
Yeah, which is great.
It's great.
I've had a great time.
Me too. Every time I watch it, I'm like, this big smile on my face. I'm like,
dudes with swords.
Sick.
Ichigo just being an idiot. It's great.
Yeah, broken powers. Ludicrous power scaling. Makes no sense.
This guy's a god. I'm going to hit it with my stick. Like, every time I'm like, yes.
That'll work this time.
Yeah, this time will be different.
It's great. It's great. All right, now, Charlie, why don't you bring us up to speed with the show you mentioned before, Ranma Half. Now,
every year.
Yeah. Let's hear
I'm not even kidding, though.
I know you're not.
Also, I'm not alone in this. This show has been very well received. This particular adaptation of, remake, as I've mentioned, is a remake of an 80s anime and 80s manga written by the same mangaka as Inuyasha. And look, I mean, my memory of it and I talked about this in our hype up episode where my memory of Ranma really came from it being one of the OG harem style comedy, kind of a bit raunchy because it's a gender body swap, balls to the wall comedy. And I had low expectations going into it because I was just like, I wonder how this is going to age. And I do think that the one thing going against is it might be aged a bit by its material. But that being said, Mappa have done an incredible job with this. They've said it they didn't try and modernize it, which I was grateful for. Literally opens with set sometime in the 80s is what it says.
Oh, right.
In Tokyo in the 80s. The amazing art style and the way they've done it just looks like that kind of light palette 80s. They've kept the original style but just made it more fluid and there's amazing fight scenes in Ranma Half because they're all fighters and do martial arts. This show is just really funny. That's the thing that got me. It actually made me laugh more than most anime does. We talk about anime and comedy not being our favorite genre on this show, but there's a couple of things that sneak through that I'm just fuck yeah, Kaguya-sama. I think this is as funny. I've actually laughed out loud many times. Very different show, but it's it's just a slapstick comedy. And there's a couple of things. There's a bit of a nudity that's probably unnecessary, but the whole premise of Ranma Half is that this father and son who are a martial arts duo go to train in this sacred grounds somewhere in China where there's a lot of different pools around and they're fighting and everyone's like, please don't do that. If you fall into one of these water, you'll be cursed by whatever drowned there. And so he kicks his dad and he falls into the drowned panda pool. And then he comes out and he's turned into a giant panda who can't speak or anything. It's already funny. Then Ranma gets kicked into the drowned girl pool, or like the ghost of a girl who's drowned there. So when he touches cold water, he turns into a girl, and same with his dad into a panda. And then if hot water touches them, they turn back to their normal selves. So it's just hijinks, just like, Ranma will be walking to school and there'll be like someone throwing a mop bucket out the window and he'll be like, like kind of thing. And then it will be, like, I just love how stupid it is. It's literally like, yep, that's the curse you've got. Sorry. And they're like, well, we're just going to deal with this, I guess. And like the dad as a panda, like actually cracks me up so hard. Like he just, at one point in an episode, it's so stupid. Like the phone rings and he picks it up and it's just like silence. Everyone's looking at him and then it's just like, he just goes into his form being like, he's holding a sign up being like, pandas can't talk. Like, why did I, like, it's just so stupid. It's like, someone's like, why did you pick up the phone then? Like, so it just, like, that probably wasn't described very much like that. Sounds lame, but like, honestly, really funny. I love the characters. Akane is a great female lead as well. And Ranma, I know that I've read a lot about how it actually has a lot more interesting things to say about gender, because it's not really like, no one really has an issue with Ranma turning into a girl, or like it kind of, it's actually from where I'm standing, I think I've been pleasantly surprised by it, and I'd be interested to actually read the manga. The fight scenes are great. It's made me laugh, and I actually think it had the premiere. I think it was my favorite of the premiere, like the first episode.
Wow.
Was my favorite, even over Dandadan.
Cool.
Wow.
And I know that's crazy, and I'm probably going to get so much hate for that. But they're both great. I love them both, and they're very different in their own way. But like, I've been watching it going, it just like is a bit of a comfort show. It's just funny. Just hijinks. Is that the word you look?
You gotta love hijinks.
Just ridiculous, so stupid, could only work in anime.
Yeah.
And I like that. What helps is the like setting it in the 80s and that aesthetic I really love.
Yes.
Weirdly, like I was watching, my partner was saying, kind of reminds him of like Elusive Samurai in that art style. And I'm like, yeah, because it has that similar look to it. But obviously Ranma's literally adapting something from the 80s, so a bit different. But yeah, I reckon give it a go. Like if you have, there's some nudity stuff, like, and obviously humor of like walking in on someone in a bathtub and screaming and getting like, a couple of classic like girl punches guy in the face. But the way they handle that stuff kind of works because they're all fighting all the time because they're in a dojo together. Like, so I don't know. It's sort of like, to me, maybe I've got anime blinkers on again, but this show just pleasantly surprised me with how fucking stupid it was and it just made me laugh. So
Cool.
I just don't really think that hard when I watch it. So it's a good like not guilty pleasure, good like escapist show. That's where I would put it. There's probably other things I probably like regret saying this and be like, oh no, like the shame of liking Ranma half. I don't think so, and I don't know. So I think so far what I'm looking at, I think it's really great.
Cool.
Great. So, Graham, I want to apologize to you because
everyone apologize.
because in the Hype Up episode, I was editing it, and at the very end of the episode, Graham goes, "Sam, I've got a show for you. It's called Orb on the Movements of the Earth.
Oh yes.
It's on Netflix." And basically,
Got left on the cutting room floor.
it got left on the cutting room floor because you brought it up right at the end of the episode. We try and keep our episodes under an hour. And I was like, I'll just cut that out.
This show's gonna suck anyway. No one cares about if the sun goes around the earth or the earth goes around the sun. No.
I was like, I'll cut that out. We'll circle back around to it. We'll circle back around to it. And I terribly regret cutting that out of the episode because holy shit.
Yep.
It is really, really good. Basically, as you said before, it's about heliocentrism. Wow, sounds fun, right? But
Tell us
like
more,
I've said
Sam.
before, history and science can be fun. So, actually, I wouldn't know if the show's fun. It's pretty harrowing, actually.
No,
but
it's harrowing. I wouldn't say it's fun.
yeah,
at
it's
all.
not fun. Not a fun time. But it's interesting. Again, it's a seinen, obviously, so aimed at an older audience. It's sort of doing what Vinland Saga kind of does. It's equal in its brutality. So it's basically set in Europe. It's not actually clear what
I would say
where it is.
Italy
Italy was.
adjacent
I was
or
thinking
something like
Italy,
that.
but it's not clear.
Yeah.
15th century.
15th century. But essentially, it's about a young kid who is a genius, super smart, gets into university, and everyone's like, wow, what are you going to study? He's like, theology, because it's the only thing you really should study, because it's the pinnacle of everything, because the church own the place, they own thought, and anyone who thinks outside of the church doctrine is burnt alive. And, very historically factual. And of course, without spoiling anything, he starts to learn about maybe this Earth isn't the center of the universe. Maybe the Earth rotates around the sun. And of course, that is heathenism.
Burn him.
Burn him! I mean, Kentaro Suda is playing the antagonist, sort of the Inquisitor. And some harrowing scenes there when he's, interrogating people about their heresy. And it's like, the opening scene of the whole show is like,
Yeah.
it's it's really interesting. It's just I don't know how it's going to go because they've taken some really interesting narrative turns, like some real.
Yeah,
there's a big twist.
Big plot twist at the end of episode 3. I love this show. I think it's great, but like also brutal, but also just like, it's actually, I find it was obviously an interesting period of time, and I'm like, interesting. Like, hadn't really thought about much of this, which is so funny because it's been very much proven out.
Wait a minute.
Wait, what? The Earth is not the center.
Shut up, the Earth's flat, dude. Come on, go online. They're all saying it.
I knew that the show, like literally the first thing I thought when I started watching it is I turned to my partner and I just said, you know what? I think Sam is going to be insufferable about this show.
Of course.
Because it really does just tick all the boxes. But then I turned out to be the most insufferable about this show because I was like defending it to my friend who had like, didn't love the pacing of it. And I was like, how dare you, Orb is... Anyway, so it reminds me of that meme. It's like pondering my orb, pondering the orb, that meme. It's like, that was me with this show. Just like, I think it's so good. I really do. And I hope I'm right. I think it's going to be a bit of a classic. I think it makes you think, and it's really uncomfortable, but it's a space where I don't think we have anything kind of like it right now, Aaron. I mean, other than Vinland Saga, I guess. But like this kind of like seinen, straight up drama, like historical fiction thing is not really happening at the moment. So I'm glad to have
More of that.
Yeah, it's right. It's obviously
Just more.
right up my alley. It's great. It's great. It's interesting. It's just, again, so anime does things differently. Actually, in a weird way as well, even though it's a full fantasy show, it's sort of not dissimilar to something like To Your Eternity as well. There's sort of elements of that. Obviously, that's very, very different.
Just another orb.
Another orb. It's all about the orbs.
Aesthetically and like sciencey, you kind of get a bit of FMA, but it's not fantasy. So it's sort of like you kind of get a little bit of Full Metal in there, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you say, it makes you think. It's very interesting, of course, because free thinking back then was obviously a burnable offense. So yeah, it's just really interesting. And you're right, a time period that we don't really see depicted much in fiction. Strongly suggest Orb on the Movements of the Earth. It's on Netflix.
It's Madhouse as well. So
It
I
is
don't know
Madhouse,
how we missed
yeah.
that once again. Who's obviously
Left. I mean, here I am just throwing out bangers and Sam's leaving them on the edit floor. I don't know why I'm here anymore.
Passing them asunder.
Madhouse, who obviously most recently did one of the best adaptations of all time with Freeform. So and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
No, that's Bones.
Ah.
Yep. That's
No,
Full Metal Alchemist. Bones.
never mind.
They did Monster.
Monster. Hate being wrong. Okay.
Anyway, of course, Madhouse, one of the most famous animation houses of them all. And you know what? Making a real comeback because there was a little period there where they kind of fell off. And a lot of their people left. Of course, Maruyama, of course, went to start Mappa and now has started his new company, which did Pluto last year.
Yeah.
They're really coming back for Freeform. I mean, couldn't get a better return to form if they tried. And now this. So, I mean, it's a slew of other shows as well. So, Madhouse, they're back, baby. Anyway, what else are y'all watching?
So I'll talk about Uzumaki because we have talked about it a lot.
Oh,
and
boy.
It finally came out after what's been like a 4 or 5 year wait since announced. I think it's 4 years maybe. And we did a video on it. You can check it out a couple of years ago because we got really excited about it. And it's, Junji Ito's iconic manga adaptation. And like famously, we've talked about so much on this podcast, I'll really be quick about it. But like famously not so successful in anime adaptations. Like people have not really quite caught the atmosphere and the vibe, I would say, of his work. It hasn't been translated well to screen. But that being said, the first episode of Uzumaki came out and people were eating their words because it was absolutely gorgeous.
That was beautiful.
The animation in that show, the soundtrack, everything about it was truly something to behold. I was sitting there going, oh my God, like I was so unsettled. I thought it was fantastic. Look, I mean, it's a hard adaptation because obviously the manga is quite like vignette-y. So it feels a little bit like it's hard to pace it as a series. So pacing in the first episode, like in hindsight, I was like, maybe the pacing wasn't amazing in that episode, but I forgave it because it was like a work of art. It was like something truly to behold. I really thought it was something outstanding. And then unfortunately, the second episode came out and all of that incredible visual pacing and care that had gone into bringing the page to life just wasn't there. Like, and I feel bad because like it is there. Like they did it and there's certain things, but it's just like the drop. And I feel bad because the quality drop is just, you can't be ignored. Like it might be, even if they didn't have the first episode, it might have been okay. Like it's still not as bad as Junji Ito Collection, which I thought was a really bad adaptation. But like, just I think seeing that drop off, and I think a lot of people were just got their hopes up really high and were so taken with the first episode that when the second one came out, it was just such a fall from grace. And Yeah, and I think that what we know is that there was a couple of like creative changes and people leaving the project, and COVID and money got in the way of it. So I think it was like a different team on the second episode onwards. I think it's safe to say everyone's a little bit disappointed because everyone felt like they waited a while for that one. I'm not here to shit on animators. Like, I'm really not, because as we know, the industry is brutal. And there's so many expectations on people. I just think it's disappointing. And yeah, it's but the first episode is truly worth a watch in itself, because even if you have those first couple of like chapters animated, like it's really something to behold, and just the texture of it.
That's
like
beautiful.
Colin Stetson, who did the score for it, fucking awesome, with the like saxophone and the tonal shifts, and like it felt like it was really like, oh my god, we did it, guys.
We finally did
fucking did it.
Crazy Sons
and
of
then
Bitches
just
did it.
obviously money and COVID.
Well,
and all
COVID
the
was a
things.
huge part.
Yeah.
But also the director, I don't know if he was fired, but he at least was removed or left after the first episode, right? So I've got a little quote here from an article. Nagahama's idea was to use motion capture and build everything in CG, then redraw all of it, which he felt would give the animators the ability to tackle Ito Sensei's line work, which is incredibly detailed. And the show ended up being much more expensive and time-consuming than the team had hoped. The decision to produce the show in black and white ended up being a huge production issue, but obviously it looks terrific. But of course, that just became unsustainable. COVID really threw everything for a huge spin.
So much work as well. Like
So much work.
to basically rotoscope.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So it was the director of Mushishi.
Okay.
I mentioned that a long time ago on one of our shows. I think it was in the Slice of Life episode. But it's a beautiful meditative piece and a wonderful, wonderful show. But yeah, unfortunately, that director was removed after the first episode because clearly that was too much work.
Yeah, not sustainable.
But I mean, it's 4 episodes in 5 years. It's like, if they're going to do it on that.
So I guess it just would have been too expensive and unachievable, which is a shame. But like, we will always have that first episode. Honestly, I think it's like great that that's there. And if you want to see the story unfold, the rest are not like the coming from the high of episode 1.
Yeah.
And I watched them one after the other. And then I kind of marathon the whole thing. And I just was like, oh, it's pretty obvious with that. But I have another friend who's watching it, and she was like, I don't really know. She's watched it week to week. And she was like, you know what? I don't care as long as I'm seeing it on screen. She's like, it's not bad. Like, I still enjoy it. So there's that. But I feel bad for the whole team creatively. I think it would be disappointing for them, you know? Because so much care went into the first episode in particular. And I'm sure a lot of care went into the other ones. They just had to work with parameters that make sense because, you know, people need to be paid. And that is what that is.
Yeah.
Speaks to a bigger problem.
Yeah, it's a damn shame. But you're right. We'll always have that first episode.
Same with, another show that had a disappointing second episode.
Oh, boy. Well, Blue Lock. Now, first episode, looking pretty good. Pretty hype. Getting real jazzed. The second episode.
What was that?
It's a PowerPoint presentation.
Pretty much, isn't
it's
it?
a PowerPoint show. I was like, what did they do to this? Crazy, man. Like, you know how much I love Blue Lock.
Yeah.
You know I'm a sports anime guy, and Blue Lock's hilarious. And the first season had some animation problems, right? But give me that over whatever this is. And I please do not. Third episode wasn't so bad, but it's still there. And it's like, oh man, how are we going to do it? They've changed directors. It's a different director from season 1 to season 2. And I'm like, oh man, this is, because also don't forget, 2023, Blue Lock was the highest selling manga in Japan.
Wild.
It was crazy how big this is. Like to have an IP, again, it talks about more in the industry, I suppose. The same with Junji Ito's Uzumaki, right? To have an IP like that and to fumble the ball that badly, like what are they doing? I mean, I guess the movie's a problem too, maybe because they spend a lot of
too much
resources
time
on the movie for a fucking recap movie, basically. Like,
I think the issue isn't it just like even if you have a successful series, like the actual system means that you're not going to make any money no matter what, basically.
Well, the production committees will, but the animation studios will not.
Yeah, so it's just like that. Again, it's like, so people will have this giant IP and you're like, how did that happen? How did they fumble? It's like, because the system itself is completely broken.
It's a damn shame. It may still, like, I think what's probably going to happen is they'll save their budget for when it's a big moment and we'll get some amazing, like, season 1, like, Blue Lock moments of being like, yeah. But, oh man, I'm still watching. I'm still going to keep watching it.
I don't
because
know. I think I might.
love. You're done.
I think I might just read the manga, to be honest.
Wow. Well, I mean, you might as well. It kind of looks
Yeah.
like all they do is like move the camera back and forth and put some.
People were doing it in like Snapcut apps and stuff. Saying, "Look, I've made Blue Lock." It's the same. Like when they kick the ball and it's like that effect. It's like, look, that's the effect they used. I'm just like,
It's
oh man.
pretty
There's
wild.
some pretty good TikToks about it.
Yeah. Some
People reenacting.
People just
just it's pretty good.
It was quite shocking. And again, I'm not here to
Yeah.
dump on animators. We know how difficult the industry and the game is, but it's like, man, it's so disappointing.
They can claw back.
Yeah, look, I'm hoping we're gonna get it back. We'll see. We'll see at the wrap up. But at the midpoint of the season, yikes.
Yeah.
That's a yikes from me, dog. Charlie, you have a show which sounds problematic. It sounded problematic when you pitched it.
Oh yeah, it is still problematic.
That's right.
Okay, good.
This is like there's no coming back from this basically.
No salvation.
But like, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things, if you know what you're reading, you're just like, well, here we go. Yakuza Fiancé. I'm watching and I will continue to watch because
It's like a prequel to like Way of the House Husband.
I mean, come on, the Way of the House Husband, that guy is a huge green flag, He's a lovely, doting husband.
Oh, this is not the guy.
The main love interest of Yakuza Fiancé could not be more of a red flag. Like, it's literally like, he is a
He's Yakuza, like.
he's a nightmare, but he's even like more like,
Right.
he's just a deranged person, basically. Like, not even, I feel like everyone's just a bit like, okay, he's like obsessive. It's a thriller. I would describe it as would you say like it's kind of giving like
thriller?
erotic thriller? Like, is it
Oh,
like
okay.
that? But it's definitely like for older audiences and also like, I guess, trigger warnings. It's one of those things that when you know what you're watching, you're kind of just like, what is going on here? Like, it's so ridiculous. I kept watching. If you're into like people who are into like mafia romances, which is a whole subgenre,
Oh, of course.
will probably like this a lot. And I watch it because I'm just genuinely like, where do we go from here? I also think it has a really good protagonist. I think she's a great character. She's also Yakuza. So she's like the daughter of like
okay.
the family who run Osaka. And then she gets like paired off with the son from the like Tokyo branch of like the other rival family. And then she has to move to Tokyo and like try to assimilate there basically. And it's all chaotic. And
Is she, like,
it's run very differently in Osaka.
Sweet
and Kyoto.
and bubbly though, or is she like also like a secret badass?
She's a badass.
Oh, okay, cool.
But also like kind of like innocent though. Look, I'm not defending it. It's one of those shows that you know you're getting into. I don't hate the main character and I can see why people would like it. I'm not here to be like, watch it. I'm like, I'm still going to watch it. Like absolute guilty pleasure. But yeah, it's giving like Fatal Attraction or like, no, not quite that. But like,
Some early 90s
yes, which is great. We love to see
Harrison
it.
Ford movie.
Absolutely.
What Lies Beneath? Wait.
What's that one with Mark Wahlberg?
Fear.
Fear?
With Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah. Terrible.
Never heard of
movie.
this movie.
Oh, it's
is
terrible.
it terrible?
Yes.
Why?
It's shocking.
Mark Wahlberg.
He's a bad guy though.
Yeah, he's the bad guy, obviously. But I just am watching it on TV when I was like a kid and being like, this sucks, dude.
Yeah,
And, there's a guy from CSI, the lead from CSI.
That's a real erotic thriller vibe. That Fear is yeah.
Is Fear good?
No, because this one's definitely like probably more sympathetic to the main guy.
Right, yeah. He was at least like straight up bad.
Yeah, ends up being a
Wahlberg.
bad guy. Like
Yeah.
it's yeah. Anyway, look, I'm not here to defend Yakuza Fiancé. If you want to watch it, go ahead and watch it. I will be watching it too. So know that you're not alone. I just wish that Crunchyroll still had the comments on. I miss the
I
I
miss
miss
the
Comments!
Crazy Yandere Witch.
What happened?
I hope you're okay.
Yeah.
Like, I miss you. That's all I'll say.
Did they get rid of the comments?
I think it was. I think there was a lot of like,
Oh, that was
Not okay,
Some
I think.
gnarly shit.
and
in
also
there.
just having to have someone to like moderate. Yeah, I think it would just be like a literal full-time job of a team of people. And I think
I could do that job.
okay, you should apply.
Yeah.
Moderate the hectic comments on Yakuza Fiancé.
I feel like a career switch.
No, maybe it's the best.
Maybe it's us.
Like, maybe it's a fandom is the problem. Yeah, Yakuza Fiancé. No, it gets a. I'm still here.
It gets a, I'm still
It's
here.
like it literally is like it's a full. Like, I mean, I always talk about the Anime Feminist, which is
Yes. Great publication.
a publication which I love. We've had Alex Henderson on here before, who's a wonderful guest. We've done an LGBTQI episode with Alex. Freaking awesome. Check them out. Yeah, but I always I watch something and I form an opinion that I go and I have to check with people who are far smarter than I am. These like academics around. And I'm always just like, please, please, please don't have my one on Whole Lot of Yikes, which is like the worst. And I was like, Yakuza Fiancé. Right there on Whole Lot of Yikes. And I was like, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I was like, fine.
Where was Ranma Half?
In Neutral Zone.
Neutral Zone.
Yep. No, Ranma Half is
not
like
bad.
a lot of like, I think there's actually quite a lot of, again, I don't want to get into, it's not my kind of
Field,
field to talk about. If you want to check out anime feminists and their thoughts about Ranma half, I think there are people who have a lot more qualifications talking about the relationship with Ranma and gender and that. So check that out, please. I'm not someone to voice that, but I think
Well, I think no.
but Ranma half, all good. Yeah, that's a neutral zone. But yeah, unfortunately, Yakuza Fiancé did not make the neutral zone.
Make the neutral zone. It's in the double yikes.
It's like just don't.
It's in straight in the bin.
Whoa. Yeah. I watched another show called Nina, the Starry-Eyed Bride, which is another one that's about someone who has to marry someone to like make it. It's a lot like that, you know.
What's going on?
Yeah,
days?
it's a real running theme for this season. And that was like, I was surprised. It's kind of like a rags to riches Cinderella style story, and it's like kind of action packed. I would say I'm in the like, yeah, I'll give it another couple of episodes, or maybe I'll just like wait to hear if like an episode happens and people really like it. It's in the like, okay zone to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bluebird.
Blue box?
Blue box.
Is that what it's called? What's Bluebird?
No idea.
I think I have Blue period. There's too many fucking blue shows.
A
Everyone
lot of blue
stop.
shows.
Like,
A lot of
actually
blue.
stop.
Have you watched Blue Box?
Blue Box. Sorry. Bluebird, isn't that the Naruto theme song?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is, yes. And there's Blue
Bang up.
Vortex.
Let's just talk about Bluebird.
Absolutely. Blue Box.
Yeah.
Yes.
We got there.
People love Blue box.
Yeah, it's good. So I like it. It's to me, you know, it seems cute, little romance sport, like very earnest. It's my like earnest pick of the season. Quite sweet character interactions. Do I love it? No, it hasn't got me yet, but I think it will. I think it's one of the ones that I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'll probably read the manga. I think it's giving that, but at the moment I'm a
People
little
love
bit,
the manga. Like,
They do.
Yeah.
highly recommend it.
Huge manga community.
Yeah, I think it's good. So that's also another one that's happening, that's coming out weekly, and I'm also watching that as well. So those are the main ones that I'm watching. Is there anything else you're watching?
Yes, pretty much me this season.
Yeah.
You too?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
There's
hell of a
one
season.
that I need to watch, the one where they also get married to avoid having to work in, like they work at it's called like 300 and something days to the wedding. That
Oh,
one.
yes.
Apparently
yes.
that's awesome. So I need to watch that too. That's like a slice
Yeah.
of life, like cute romance, awkward adult romance, like between two co-workers, which I think sounds up my alley. I just haven't got around to watching it, and I will. And you'll hear my thoughts probably, I don't know, never, but you know. Yeah, but yeah, I've been so pleasantly surprised by this season.
Oh, well, we knew it was going to be a cracker.
Yeah.
You know, like there were so many heavy hitters. Uzumaki, the only real like disaster. I mean, Blue Box is hit. I'm sorry, Blue Box.
And Uzumaki's not a disaster. Like, I mean,
No, it does. It's just disappointing.
yeah.
Blue Lock's potentially heading in that direction, but we're not there yet. But again, you know, we know that if it's bad, we'll just go read the manga.
Just read the manga.
That's not a big deal, you know, so it's fine. But hopefully that holds firm. ReZero doing what ReZero does. Dandadan absolutely firing on all cylinders. Bleach giving us exactly what we want when we want it.
Just cook it in my
Loving
veins
that.
every
Ranma
week.
half.
Ranma half.
Anime of
Ranma
the
half.
season, anime of the decade apparently. And
Yakuza fun.
Yakuza Fiancé double yikes. So, I mean, we've got a cracking season compared to last. I mean, there's stuff like I never
Orbs
watched.
and-
Orbs. You know,
There's
the Dark
an
Horse.
animated Gundam show on
Yeah.
Netflix that
Yeah,
came
I
out
saw
of
that.
nowhere.
Yeah,
3D
yeah.
animated. That's the hit.
Daima as
Dragon
well.
Ball Daima.
Daima,
Yeah.
yeah.
I haven't actually watched that yet.
Apparently it's amazing.
Yeah,
Right.
people are loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It feels just like it's like a GT sort of rehash where they all get Goku gets made into a kid again.
Yeah, it's again.
Right.
I can't speak to it because I haven't actually watched it,
Yeah.
but like people seem to be really
Maybe I'll check it
vibing.
out. Maybe I'll check it out. Yeah.
You know, for nostalgia while we're on the Bleach train. You know,
I do like young Goku.
yeah, it's
That
fun.
was my favorite Goku.
Yeah, there's a lot, and also really varied. Yeah, you've got your sort of a lot of like sort of slower paced romance stuff, and again also quite a varied bag with the romance thing. You've got Ranma half, which sounds quite irreverent. And you've got a lot of isekai, as always. ReZero, the big heavy hitter, but the Shangri-La Frontier, which I have never
People like
watched.
that?
But people seem to like it. Apparently, it's just like pretty simple action.
Okay.
And it's fun. And it's not like complex. I don't know. Again, there's a
I
big
watched
fan
the
base for it. But
First season, and like I remember liking it. I didn't watch the second core of it, so I need to get. But yeah, that's one that's on my list that people often bring up.
a lot of people bring it up. Apparently, it's just
Yeah.
fun. Is it wrong to pick up girls in the dungeons? Obviously back, but
Yeah.
we don't care about that.
There's also
Same
a-
writer as Wistoria, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
There's also a One Piece fan made by
Yeah.
I cannot remember her name. Anime director just did one episode. Her art style, her direction. Apparently it's
Wow.
apparently it's one of the best pieces of One Piece ever made. So
Interesting.
Cool.
just a one episode hype. I don't know, what do you even call it? Fan fiction episode. Weird,
Right.
but apparently people loving it. So
Wow, very cool. Well, that has been our fall mid-season roundup. Let us know what you're into. What have you been watching? What have you liked? What's been a disappointment? What's been a surprise hit? Hit us up. And of course, it's getting towards the end of the year, and that means it's the 2024 Gateway to Anime Awards. That's right, we're back again for a third annual awards as picked by you. But if you want to help us pick the nominees, you can do so by joining our Patreon, and you can do it for a 7-day free trial. Pick the nominees. If you want to stick around, well, every little bit does help. You can join for as little as $1.50 a month. We do early releases, we do behind the scenes, and we also do extra episodes. But otherwise, stay tuned to our socials, especially Instagram and YouTube, to dive into the full voting for the actual awards. If you like what we're doing, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Hopefully you're watching us on YouTube, but if you are listening to us on the audio platforms, you can head over to Spotify and just give us a 5-star review. Just click that little thing in the top left. Really does make a big difference. If you're on any of the Apple platforms, you can go give us an actual review. Really does make a massive difference. Anyway, Charlie, Gray, thank you so much. It's been a good old time and cracking season. It's great to have a good season again after last season being so poor. Thanks so much. We'll catch you all next time. See you soon.